What's up, you guys? Alright, I'm in Lordsburg, New Mexico now. I'm going to be doing a 34-hour reset here. Thought about doing this as part of the first part of my when I go deliver to Temple, to the Walmart in Temple, Texas. But I figured this might be better off as its own video with its own topic, or title, whatever. It would be more fitting for it because it's definitely one of those defining moments, I would say. Specifically about why I recommend you don't ever try to Facebook shame or try to shame your fellow drivers on social media whenever you have a problem with a trailer or load or whatever. So here's the story. I picked this load up from our drop yard in San Bernardino this morning. And alright, so first things first, I go pre-trip the trailer. I look inside the inspection door, and I can see that the last two pallets are, I don't know, maybe 5-6 feet in, or well, maybe not quite that far in, maybe 4 feet, somewhere around there from the back of the trailer. And it looked like it should have been reasonable as far as the weight was concerned, weight and balance was concerned. And I finished pre-tripping, and I go to the bill box, which is out the front passenger side of the trailer, or the front of the trailer, but on the passenger side, basically, or on the header board. Anyway, I pull the bills out, and there was also a scale ticket in there, and that's that's where we had kind of a problem. First, well, this part itself wasn't an issue. I see on the BOL 29,402 pounds is what the load supposedly weighs. But the other driver who picked it up, who also happens to be a friend of mine, who was actually one of our San Bernardino local drivers. Anyway, I'd seen that he had signed for this BOL, and the scale ticket also corresponded to him. And alright, so the scale ticket was where things got really suspicious, because 29,000 pound load should have scaled at about 64,000 pounds. But reality, what he ended up getting, I don't know if, let's see if I can show it. But, alright, so it's scaled gross weight at 75,540. And more importantly, the trailer axle weight, or tandems, with the tandems already set to the 40-foot California limit, 34,760, or 760 pounds over the max. Now, usually weigh stations will give you a little bit of leeway, maybe up to a couple hundred pounds, because of scale calibration error tolerances, stuff like that. Or maybe you made an honest effort to try to get it right, but it just wasn't quite, or a little bit of discretion that is used there by DOT. But 760 pounds, that's not going to fly at a weigh station. No, they'll at least warn you, if not even ticket you for that. May even put you out of service and make you make a transload crew come over and another truck and basically, or either rework the load right there at the weigh station, or bring another truck out to transload some of your load to that. So anyway, that was a bit of a problem there, and I had the eastbound Banning weigh station that I had to be concerned about. Now most of the time it's closed when I go through there, and not too many weeks back, whatever, I went through that area, and that weigh station wasn't even accessible because of construction. They actually had K-rails blocking you from even getting to it. K-rails, of course, being Jersey barriers, for those of you guys who don't know. Anyway, so this time around, I I was getting really concerned. I don't know if I want to go try to take this load past that weigh station, because what if it's open? And then if it is open, what if I get pulled into there? And if I do, they're going to find that, and there's a chance I could get the aforementioned citation or warning or out of service or whatever. And I didn't want that to happen. I didn't. There aren't any any Catskills really between between our drop yard and the Banning weigh station. There kind of is, but I had to go. Would have had to go over to probably the Royal Truck Stop, and that's not even a real Catskill. It's some other kind, if I remember correctly. Maybe it's a Catskill. I don't remember, but I can't think of any off the top of my head actual Catskills in the San Bernardino Valley outside of going over to the west end of the valley, over by like Fontana or Ontario or something. So I end up just go ahead and take it across 10 and hope to God that the Banning scale was going to be closed. I got kind of lucky, but it wasn't exactly closed. So what happened was, now when if those of you guys are familiar, there's like an S curve on the I-10 there just before you get to the weigh station. Basically it curves left and then the right, and then right in between the two turns on the right side, there's a tree that blocks your view down the road, so you can't really see what's going on at the weigh station. You can't see what's going on at the weigh station when you're coming up on the S curve, because the tree blocks your view. Then to get around the curve, I was following another truck, so I couldn't really see too much what's going on up there. And then my DriveWise, they actually told me pull in unless closed. It's like, shit. Alright, so now we got the question of, is the station open or closed? And this is how close it ended up being closed. I finally got up to the sign saying scales closed, do not enter. But I had to get up pretty close to it because the way it's lit up poorly, and it's hard to even see it what it's saying until you're pretty close to it. And I got great vision. Even I had a hard time reading what it said until I was probably less than a quarter of a mile away from it. Anyway, but I keep going up, or actually before I even got to that point, I remembered I'd seen a truck pull into use the exit ramp to go into the weigh station, and I was kind of hoping, it was just the one truck that I saw, and I was kind of hoping that the truck was just going in there to do something personal, like, I don't know, use a restroom or check out something, or go get something out of their sleeper berth, like some more food, or who knows. Yeah, this kind of stuff does happen sometimes, or whatever. And well, it turns out as I get up there closer, nope, he wasn't in there just for personal reasons. He was in there because he got pulled into there because the station was actually open shortly before I got to it. And they had only closed it temporarily because they already had enough trucks in line there. They didn't want to create a safety hazard by trucks having to go too slow in the right lane to get onto the ramp. Because they'll usually close it when the ramp is full. The ramp wasn't full, but it was kind of half, I guess. And trucks would have had to been going really slow in already pretty slow in the right lane of the for the through traffic. To be able to queue up in the exit ramp. So that's the only reason I got by that weigh station. Now there's the other question: why did it show up in the drop yard like that? And a lot of other drivers, especially who are in our Facebook group, probably would have been bitching about it in the group and trying to Facebook shame whoever it was who dropped the trailer there. Okay, so again, I know this driver. I'm friends with him, and he has 22 years of CDL experience. And the other thing is, even if I didn't know him, I know enough about JCT to know that our local drivers, you're not going to be a local driver for JCT unless you've been here for at least a few years, and you have a very well established reputation for being a runner, like a very reliable runner, and who's easy to, generally easy to work with. If you if you're even remotely not reliable, no, there's no chance you'll become a local driver. We only have so many local driver positions, and we get a lot of drivers who want them. So they're only going to really allow like the best of the best drivers to be locals. So given that fact, why would a local driver who's kind of one of the best here drop a load in the drop yard with axle that he knows for sure is over beyond the legal limit, and that he can't try to slide the tandems back any further? So I ended up giving him a call because I have his number. I gave him a call and told him, hey, what's the story with this trailer that this load I'm taking to Temple that you signed for? He knew something was up because we don't talk all the time. It's not very frequent actually, and I'm not huge on talking on the phone as it is. And it's unusual for me to call him or for him to call me. Like once in a blue moon or something, we'll contact each other or whatever, like on Facebook or something, like video chat or whatever, just chit chat for a little bit, see what's going on. But he knew there was something weird about me calling him, and sure enough, but he was kind of relieved also that it was me and not somebody else, because the way I handled it, and not to mention he knows what I'm about. He thought, he was concerned that somebody at the company was going to throw him under the bus and post it on Facebook, and he was preparing himself to call him back out on, like basically defend himself on there, saying, no, this is bullshit, because this is what happened. He goes there, gets loaded, puts it across the scale. It's overweight on the tandems, and he said that the last pallet was like right up by the back door, which was that's a red flag for us a lot of times. And also he was trying to tell the loader, hey, your BOL weight doesn't seem to match what I'm scaling at. And it seemed like the loader was arguing with him a lot, like trying to say, like, no, there's not. That's accurate, whatever. And that he couldn't, really didn't know what else he could do. He said, well, I can't take this. I'm already at 40 foot, on my kingpin to rear axle dimension. I can't slide my tandems back any further, and it's over by. And he said it was even more than that, like over 1,000 pounds over when he first scaled it. And he said, if this is a 29,000 pound load, then I should be scaling 64,000 or so pounds, not 75 plus. So like, there's something missing here, and for that reason, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm going to have an overage when I get to Temple, which basically means that so I have 29 pallets here of product, but what might really be back there could be more than 29. Now the trailer can hold 28 pallet positions, so there's going to be at least one double stack in there, actually probably even more. And in fact, I know that was what the loader ended up doing, was double stack some of the pallets that were in the back onto other ones. But now there's a problem. He still has all the heavy weight on the back of the trailer, so still cannot get the he ended up getting it reworked, I think like 3 times, he said. And I think he said he spent like 7 hours there, trying to get it reworked several times. And then it got to a point where he needed to get home to do a 10-hour break so he could be ready to pick up a reload today. I think it was today, or something along that line. Well, basically, if he didn't get out of there and home to do his 10-hour break very quickly from that point, then he wasn't going to be able to have a fresh have clock to work with to get to his next shipper on time. So, and then I guess he was getting some, I don't know, I guess some argument from one of our operations people. And I don't know the whole story on that, but sounded like the guy was trying to get him to slide the tandems back. And like, I can't slide the tandems back. It's illegal to. I'm at the 40-foot mark.
Attention, a new important message has arrived.
All right, so that's another story there. Because I asked, anyway, let me tell the story that we're on first. Yeah, the operations guy was basically trying to get him to slide the tandems further back so it would scale right. But I'm like, I can't do that. I'm already at the 40-foot California limit. If I go back any further, then it's an overlength problem, and that can still get you put out of service or ticketed. Or both, whatever. So he ended up because of the time constraint issue, he ended up just taking it to the yard like it was. He got a scale ticket, and then took it to the yard, included and provided the scale ticket with the BOL, so I'd have, whoever picked it up would have a good idea right away. They said, yeah, if we can get past the banding scale, then it'll be good, because as soon as you pass that, the next weigh station to deal with is in Arizona. And once you're in Arizona, the rest of the way from Arizona to Temple, Texas, the weigh stations that you will pass, they don't have any axle length restrictions on them. So you can have the tandems all the way back if you need be, and you'll be legal. So it's really, just make sure they're back to, to where they need to be before you get into Arizona, and you're good. So that was basically the point of it. Was the driver involved who he dropped the trailer knowing it was overweight on the tandems, but there was a special circumstance there. He did not want to drop it like that. He made every effort to get it reworked and have it done correctly, but he had a lot of problems with the loader, not seeming to really know what he was doing. I think the loader was being lazy, trying to take shortcuts and stuff, and maybe not necessarily lazy, but doesn't know well enough what they're doing. Is what my impression is. So turned out it was a good thing that it was me who picked the load up, for one, because I'll sometimes take risks like that. It's not really a good thing per se, but I'm also not the kind of guy who's going to throw fellow drivers under the bus. And as it was, I see his name on there. I got his phone number. I call him up, and hey, what's the story here? I know there's just something not quite right when a very experienced driver who's he has to have a stellar enough reputation to even to merit being a local driver for us. Why he would do that, and it turned out there were some extraneous circumstances or whatever that forced him to do what he did. He didn't want to do it that way. He was forced by situation to do it. So, that would have been a real problem had someone else picked it up and raised a fuss about it and went on Facebook and started bitching about how this driver did that, and without knowing the full story about what really happened. So, great example here. Don't go Facebook shaming and throwing your fellow drivers under the bus, please. Get the whole story and get facts straight. Sometimes the assumptions that you might make are going to be accurate, but there are plenty of cases where you're going to make an assumption about one thing or another, and then you might find out in hindsight later on that there was there were some important details in there that you're completely unaware of, and that made a huge difference in why things ended up the way they did. All right, so have some respect for your fellow drivers. Don't try to Facebook shame them. Nobody likes a whiner anyway, and when people do nothing but bitch about what condition a trailer or load is in on Facebook or whatever or other social media, you lower yourself to the level of a whiner, and nobody wants to deal with you. Yeah, people will start blocking you, leaving the group if it is a group. It's not productive. So channel your frustrations with that in more productive ways. Do it privately. In this case, I talked to the driver in question myself because I knew him, but if I hadn't known who it was, I would have just got with my DM privately. Hey, hey, I got a problem here, and let it be their problem to worry about whether any action needs to be taken against the driver who left it like that. They do pay attention to that stuff, and they will take action. Sometimes it's just, maybe it was a one-off situation that it's not really an issue. It was just a one-time issue that doesn't really need to be dealt with. Or other times they might find that people are habitually having finding problems with trailers that are dropped by the same individual. Yeah, so someone establishes a trend of obviously not doing pre-trips or post-trips on their equipment, then that's someone they might start having to talk with or whatever, and take action against, or give disciplinary action to, or whatever. Who knows? That kind of stuff does happen. Just again, something I learned in the Air Force. One of the kind of management policies or leadership policies, I guess, the customs they had was praise in public and scorn in private. So, in other words, if you have a problem with what somebody did, or you have a problem with someone else in any other way, you don't go putting them on blast in a public environment. Whether it doesn't matter if you were in a commander's call or a public, like a Facebook group or some other kind of social media of any kind. And I made that mistake when I was a young airman. I was probably a senior airman, E4 at the time, but I got frustrated with a particular flight engineer in my squadron who had a habit of taking like really long times to do his pre-flight checks. Normally it would take about an hour for a flight engineer on the C-130s to do their pre-flight checks with us, but this guy would seem like practically 2 hours, and that's usually 2 hours before engine start is usually when they would show up at the aircraft. 2 or 3 hours depending on what's all going on. But and usually about an hour before takeoff is when the pilots would show up to do their stuff. And anyway, this particular flight engineer, I just got frustrated. And I already hated when he flew on my airplane, because he would always take so damn long for his pre-flights, and then he would write up the most nitnoid stupid shit in my forms, my aircraft forms, whatever, when they'd land. And one such, this one particular occasion is exactly when what that happened. They have now jet engines, and now C-130s, they have a turboprop engine, but a turboprop engine is basically a jet engine, a standard jet engine with a reduction gearbox mounted to the front end of the shaft. The shaft that makes the blades all spin on the main power plant extend to the front of it, and there's a gearbox on there that steps down the speed from the power plant from which is like 11,000 RPM, and it'll slow the output speed on the other end of that shaft that the propeller hooks up to down to like 1,000, 1,100 RPM range, somewhere around there. It's been so long I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's about what it is. Anyway, turboprop or jet engine, doesn't matter. They usually always have these things called fire access blowout doors. They're basically they tend to be like spring-loaded doors. And some of them they're hard, they're hard put in there, and you're supposed to punch through it with the nozzle on the fire bottle. or others like on C-130s, it's just a spring-loaded door. All you have to do is just, if you have to put fire extinguishing agent into there, that's just spray it right up at the end of the door, and it'll push the door open. Well, anyway, sometimes it's pressure changes at altitude. The door, sometimes if it's a weaker spring holding the door open, or the door shut, sometimes it'll, the door will open up. And in this particular case, it was my number 3 engine, and which is the right inner engine, basically, right wing inner engine, for those of you guys who don't know what they are and how they're numbered. And it was the door on the kind of on the left side bottom area. It was flipped up, and it wouldn't close because it was binding up on a hydraulic line, I think, or a fuel line, one of the two. Yeah, it was one of the two, but it kind of bound up on it and couldn't get past it to close back up. So basically, we had to. It was a real simple fix, though. Just we have to climb up. We have to have a big ladder, a step ladder, to do intake and exhaust inspections before and after every flight anyway. So go up there, stick my head into the intake to inspect the blades for any what we call FOD, foreign object damage or debris, particularly like bird strikes and stuff. Look for evidence of that, and then also the condition of the condition and security of everything in there as well. But go from the front of the engine to the back of the engine, halfway there, just put it right underneath the engine, climb up, and pull the damn spring-loaded door back down. That's all it was. Why is this getting written up in my forms? And I have to, if it gets written up in the forms, it also has to get written up in the digital maintenance system, the maintenance data system that we used. And so I had to sign off the work both in there, handwritten on the forms and in the maintenance data system as well on the computer. So a lot of extra work just for a stupid little spring-loaded door. I was not happy about it. So what ends up happening at this point, when all that happened, I was a member of, and this was well before any kind of like social media sites like Facebook or MySpace and all that. Those didn't exist. It was in the later 1990s, 97, 98, somewhere around there. I don't know, somewhere around that time frame. All right, so okay, AOL existed, chat rooms and stuff, but more particularly, there wasn't much for that except for for focused groups like this, or discussion groups like C-130 specifically in general, unless you went on to Usenet, which I used a lot also back in the day. Usenet's still around now, but hardly anybody knows anything about it. A lot of people didn't know about it back then either, but nowadays people don't even know that it's even still exists, but it does. Anyway, there was an email. There was the other way that people communicated about or discussed common topics like that, or common interests like that, were to be in a group email thing. So I was on this email list devoted specifically to C-130 aircraft, and of course I decided I'm going to vent and open a can of worms and bitch about this flight engineer in that email group. Now, mind you, anybody with any kind of background with C-130s can be in this group. They could be in my squadron, and they could be in maintenance, or they could be a flyer, or they could be from some other units, or maybe they're retired and no longer serving, but had a prior C-130 background, and basically they anyway, anyone along that line. And alright, so needless to say, now the flight engineer I decided to disparage, I'll just say, or slander. I didn't actually ever mention his name specifically because I knew better than to do that. I just figured, I'm just venting. and I'm just gonna throw this out there and put someone on blast. Yeah, here's the problem though. Even though the flight engineer in question was not in that group, and I'd never mentioned his name specifically, there was info that I had given out in there, not to mention my name alone. People know my name. Yeah, people in my squadron know my name, and there was particularly one. There was a flight engineer in my squadron who was newer to my unit, but he already knew my name. Or he thought my name was familiar, and he saw me post that, and he saw what I wrote, and basically deductive reasoning figured out exactly who the FE was that I was talking about. So he goes to the senior flight engineer, basically, the senior FE, who was a senior master sergeant at the time, or an E8. Asked them, hey, isn't this guy in our squadron? He prints it up and gives it to the senior FE, and isn't this guy in our squadron? And he was like, yeah, I think so. And it's like, there were other posts in there where I talked about how I was in this particular unit, and so they ended up getting a hold of the FE who it was about and showed it to him, and then of course he was upset, and now he comes over to our side, to my side of the squadron, because we had the flight crew side of the squadron had one building, and then and they were down the street, and then we were in a different building. The maintenance guys were all in a different building down by where the airplanes were. Anyway, he's down there at our side at our building, talking to our chief, our superintendent, about what one of your crew chiefs did or said or was saying about me in this group or whatever. And even though I never said the name, but I still put him on blast, and basically I said, this guy's he doesn't know what the hell he's doing or whatever, he's slow as shit and all this, or just a bunch of stupid idiotic stuff. Just thinking I'm venting, and just need to get it out, but got it out to the wrong audience, very wrong audience. Anyway, I was working grave shift at the time, and it was near the end of my shift, and one of our airplanes was getting ready to fly, so I'm out there waiting for flight crew to show up, and the scanner comes out, or the senior FE, whatever, to do the pre-flight. Same senior FE that the guy who was in the email group talked to, and when we're kind of on the later part of the pre-flight, he's asking me, "You're Scott Zane, right?" Like, yeah. Why? It's like, yeah, I think you authored something that recently that I thought was very inappropriate and unprofessional. I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? I was like, yeah, aren't you in some C-130 email list? And then the light bulb clicked on right then and there. It's like, oops. I know exactly what he was talking about then. Yeah, you said something about one of the FEs in our squadron not knowing what they're doing, or all this disparaging crap, stuff, whatever. I'm not using it. I'm not saying verbatim, of course. It's been so damn many years. Yeah, kind of. I was like, yeah, well, I think you owe that guy an apology, and just an FYI, he knows about it, and I think he's over here at your guys' side of the squadron, talking to your supervision about it. So I'm like, fuck. So now, and I get through doing all, once day shift comes in and takes over, and they end up launching the plane, and I go turn my toolbox in and all that, get cleaned up, go into our office, and then of course our chief is in there, and so is the flight engineer in question, and my flight chief. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be painful. It was not a good outcome. Thankfully, I didn't get any. I didn't lose any stripes or get an Article 15 or anything like that. I can't even remember if I got like a LOC, as we call it, a letter of counseling or anything like that. I might have gotten an LOC out of it. I don't remember, but then I was also ordered to at our next roll call, our shop roll call, to give a briefing on not slandering people on social media, basically on public forums. So yeah, by me having to do that, everyone now, and I know everybody in the shop knew that I did something that led up to me having to give this briefing. There weren't any details provided, but like, yeah, you fucked up. Yeah, that is correct. So that was a very early lesson for me in my early 20s. Watch what you say to or about other people online. You never know who is watching. You never know what can be done about it. I said earlier, you piss off the wrong person, they might come track you down and even come at you with a weapon or something, and then you got some serious problems. Much more serious problems than what I dealt with when kind of talk trash about that flight engineer, right? So, there have been a lot of other people who have said a lot of really stupid things online and ended up losing their jobs over them too. So, that's my advice. Be very careful about what you put online, what kind of impression you give other people, and I'm not going to say I'm the greatest. I don't give the greatest impressions to other people as well, but I do what I can. I try to limit what I do online to what's going to be helpful or useful to other people. I do sometimes have my moments, but I think we all do, where we kind of get in the moment and just say something stupid. But I do my best to not get involved with that, and it's hard, especially when I got OCD and Asperger's and all that. It could be a real. I'm just by virtues of those, that can be very frustrating for other people to deal with, or very annoying. And likewise, a whole bunch of other people out there can be extremely annoying for me. And it just sometimes frustration gets to people and people vent or something. But anyway, that's all I have. That's all I really want to talk about was just advice on don't go putting people on blast, because you don't always know all the details of what's going on. Don't make a lot of assumptions, because you make an ass out of you and me. Sometimes those assumptions are not going to be accurate or correct or whatever. So, all right, that's all I have. I'm in transit now from our drop yard in San Bernardino to Temple, Texas, but I am on the repower monitor because I'm showing an appointment for 0130 on 0606. Check back tomorrow with Patty to see if she can get you a different appointment in the meantime. We will look for swap options. Okay. So, I didn't have any info about an appointment time. So, it was showing 0000 as the appointment time, which means there is no appointment time set yet, and it needs to be set. Unless it's an FCFS delivery, which Walmart never is. All right, so based on that, I can't say for sure that I'm even going to be in Temple on my next video. I might be going back to California or something, but whatever the case, I'm going to be doing a 34-hour reset here, because I have actually 2-hour faster ETA to Temple if I do a 34 here than if I run on the recaps that I have. I don't get any recaps tonight, and then I get 2:05 back tomorrow. And
You have 0 hours and 10 minutes of remaining drive time.
And I got 3 hours and 24 minutes left on my 70-hour clock. So yeah, I'm not going anywhere soon. So all right, so you all have a good night, and I'll have some more content for you guys to watch or listen to, whatever, hopefully in the near future. All right, see you guys.